here in CrossTech Latam 2025 in the beautiful country of Guatemala, and we are so happy to see in CrossTech so many companies, whether they are in the remittance space. And I said remittance space is money transferring, on that payment channel, but also all this ecosystem of fintechs and other rails, and I'm proud of seeing how this creation of this great ecosystem is has been developed, and I'm just have the pleasure of having Andrew with me. I know Intermex for quite some time. I knew the founders of the company. Yes, uh,
The
so
Rincons.
yeah, the Rincons, the Colombian brothers. I met him personally. That's what happens when you're so long in an industry. So I know the company, and I know I was not part, but I witnessed, when it was purchased, and as I just mentioned, the CEO of your company, Bob Lissy, I known him even before that, when he and his team bought Vigo, a company I knew very well. So it is circles on circles.
All around. Absolutely.
But first, I want you to talk about yourself just a little bit.
Absolutely.
So you were born in Sierra Leone.
Born in Sierra Leone. Yes, my name is Andrew Kugbei, and I'm currently the Chief Operating Officer of the retail business for Intermex. Been with the company for 11 years.
11 years. Go.
Absolutely. Really fell in love with the remittance space. Have a background of, traveling around the world. So I found myself in a pretty complementary industry, and Intermex has been a great company, and it's been an interesting journey. So that's a little bit about myself.
That's great. That's great. So it's interesting to have you in Latin America. I have had the pleasure of visiting many African countries, and the importance that remittances play in Africa. Very similar to Latin America, and there's so many of cultural similarities. You send money because you love your family, you want to be there. That's in the heart of Latin Americans, as is in the heart of Africans. And yes, some Asian countries have the same thing, and as a migrant myself, you too,
Right?
we understand what is that.
Absolutely.
But let's talk about Intermex, really, because what do you think, from your perspective, from your 11 years in the company, what do you think that makes Intermex a trusted brand for the millions of families your company serves?
Yeah, absolutely. I think with Intermex, it's all about understanding the mission, right, and what we serve. And for example, we're in a country like Guatemala, where I think remittances account for over 25% of the GDP, right?
Cool.
So such importance. We're sustaining livelihoods. These are really transactions sent out of love back home, necessity. So really understanding what you do has really made Intermex stand out. Early on in my years in the company, they taught me that while a lot of the industry is designed to serve the retailer, the agent, as we call them, as sort of the customer, Intermex took an approach where they actually focused on the consumer. So we really think about that person that is sending that hard-earned cash back home, as well as the beneficiary. So we've designed a company that serves them, focuses on them, adds value to the service, and makes sure that we don't treat that transaction as a commodity. We're unique in not looking at this industry as a commodity. We believe that folks sending their money will choose a company with quality over price. And if you can really commit to being a partner in delivering that aid back home to them, you will develop trust. That's what we've done in Latin America. We positioned ourselves as a very strong brand. And at the end of the day, we want a consumer to walk into the retailer and say, I want this transaction to be sent with Intermex. Yes. I know that transaction will be paid. I know it will be cared for all the way. And listen, if anything does happen, our customer service is there to serve them. We'll pick up within 4 seconds. it's really all about the consumer. So I think focusing on who is sending that money has really made Intermex stand out. And it's been a pleasure to be on that journey.
That's great to hear. Great to hear because I come from that background. I mean, I've been in remittances for so long since the beginning. I mean, and I can tell you stories about how many people, how many agents I came with a fax to teach them to send a
I
fax.
actually like to hear that.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So so I know that. I mean, I did the walk myself
Yeah.
as delivering faxes and saying, what is this? I mean, this is you send the order. Do I send the dollars through that? No. You send the order. You send the information that gets to us.
Yeah,
But
I've
yeah,
heard such stories from actually the Rincones, and
yeah.
it's fascinating.
It's fascinating. Yeah,
Really,
it's
where it all
fascinating
started.
because it's a is this incremental evolution of the industry. I was discussing the other day, is that disruption? Yeah, well, in the industry we can call it disruption, you can call it incremental evolution. Who cares?
Right.
Really, is that even from that time with fax, we were fintechs. That was technology.
Something Bob always says.
Yeah,
Correct.
good.
We're not exactly using pigeons, right?
Yeah.
There's technology behind this.
A
I
lot
know
of
the
technology.
term digital's thrown around a lot these days, but
Yeah.
we've been digital for years, as you say.
And tell me, how do you think, with what you said, does the Intermex retail network, let's call it like that, stands out in the U.S. market?
Yeah, sure. Oh, also an early learning for me when I joined the company, I heard a story about our CEO today, Bob Lissy, who you know. When he joined the company, I think that he proposed that we were going to cut our agent base, the number of retailers we had sending transactions, by half. But we were going to deliver twice as many transactions. Now when you hear that, it sounds counterintuitive. So you want to actually scale down the business, but do more. But then when I heard that in a few years that came to fruition, and truly the agent base was reduced, but production was increased, that's when I knew I was joining a company with vision. And the vision was to understand where the transactions were actually originating, in the heart of the communities, where people really send the money with trust. And they go to a place they trust. They go to a neighborhood, really a neighborhood hub.
Yes.
And to find those locations and build a network that is productive. That's what Intermex has done. We've really used data to hone in with precision on where to partner with the best retailers to deliver the best service and have the best production. So I think our agent network really stands out in the retail industry because it is, I believe, the most productive in the industry. We deliver the most transactions per agent. We have the most growth in those agents, and the partnership is deep. The trust is deep. Our relationships have been nurtured over years, and that's really what builds a strong brand.
And it's interesting, and I understand what you said. You told me that you live in Miami.
Correct.
I do too. I'm a little bit north of Miami, but in that metropolitan area. And I know agents, many agents. We had a company in Miami, money transmitter company in Miami. So I understand what you said deeply because I see everybody says, okay, the agents are going away, like the travel agents. And I smart, I smile and said no, because there's so much involved in those hubs that you said. And it is true what you said. You see agents, some smaller ones closing down, but you see one that is efficient, that works well, that has a good name, good brand, getting those transactions. So the transactions are not decreasing in the agent side, and I know that because sometimes when you see, especially the digital companies saying, that we are we're growing from taking clients, and it's not. The whole industry is growing, and everybody is growing, just catering to a different consumer.
I would put it precisely the same.
Yes?
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
Good.
I think
I'm glad because I was putting it as a theory.
No, absolutely. I deeply believe, and data supports it, in my opinion, that the client bases are quite different. And you really do have a client base that, as you put it, we'll go to an agent with their, usually it's a cash business, and they trust that location, and they offer support beyond the transaction. And that's really a form of support in the country
and
as
and
they're
and they offer other services because there's so many things, packaging and depending, even nostalgic products. I mean, there's so much going on in those.
stop for the day, right? It's a stop for the day, and maybe you send a transaction, but you're really at that agent to do a lot of your daily business, so it's not going anywhere.
Okay, and tell me, so what do you think are the biggest opportunities for Intermex in the remittance market today? Knowing that it's very competitive, right? We know that there's a competition in price, in the FX, in speed. I would say no, not anymore, because everybody is quite fast.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah. But tell me, what are those? What do you see these opportunities in this very competitive market?
Sure. The opportunity is actually what still excites me today. If we think about Intermex's traditional business, or even the traditional business of remittances, we still see a lot of opportunity for us in the Western states, such as California and around those regions where, Intermex really built a lot of market share in the East. We believe that if we can deliver the type of penetration we can in the Western states, we still see a lot of runway ahead of us. As you put it, the retail market, we think, is still strong. There's plenty of opportunity to capture there. I think that, regardless of the competition, we believe that since we have a value-added product, we still will be able to gain market share. So that's still a great strategic route for us to focus on the Western states. And then, if we start to think of the maybe non-traditional business that Intermex is in, we start thinking about digital origination. Okay. And we really like the idea of offering what we call wires as a service. So allowing other partners, folks with a possible consumer base, such as payers on this side, folks sponsoring this conference like Ban Rural and such, that have a client base and can possibly build off our rails to offer outbound origination. So a white label as such, but we consider it partnering on a wires as a service. So that's a huge opportunity for us that we're excited about, to be able to grow our base, sharing transactions by facilitating them for other providers that, want to build off our licenses and rails and provide that service. And lastly, I still see a lot of opportunity for us in terms of how we position our product to go to scale to other countries. We talked about the fact that Intermex is focused on Latin America and has built a great product with a lot of trust. But I really do think it's time to start thinking about other corridors for Intermex and have more of a global mindset.
Good.
Currently, we are in Europe. We talked about our common friend there, Marcella, that leads our operation.
Yes. I mean, she worked for me for many years. I feel I've seen her career. We became friends, and Marcela, when she told me I'm going to go work with Intermex, I said, okay, great. I think she's a great person. I know this is developing Europe for Intermex, and doing quite well. So it's
Absolutely.
good.
Yeah. So in Europe's one opportunity outbound, but how do we take the Intermex name US outbound and think about other corridors that we traditionally haven't served? How do we build the trust to countries like Haiti and India and really think outside of the box? So
Yeah, because corridors are cultures too.
right.
And sometimes, and I think you've seen it too, especially if you're from Sierra Leone, that culture plays a role in all of this. Now, luckily for the agent model, and I always say it like that, we work with agents that know pretty much the culture.
Right.
And even if you have an agent that does Central America and is cross cultural in a way, uh, it's different if you have Philippines, if you have Indians, for example, or it's a way of you present. Yeah, the product can be the same, but there is cultural differences and different ways of handling corridors and expectations. Tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. No, that's exactly why I position it as how do we build the trust in these other cultures and corridors? Because you're absolutely right. It needs to resonate with the consumer, at least in our model that delivers that kind of productivity. So I think that that's why we've been very deliberate in how we expand, because we don't want to just offer another product. We want to offer a product that adds value for that community and that consumer. So that means being able to support it A to Z in top-notch service, meaning you have the language capabilities, no matter how much localities you're serving. You have the support, you have the right marketing. You really have to understand the culture to serve it correctly, and that's why we'll be deliberate in our expansion, but it is a great opportunity for us. So you really need to meet the consumer where they are, and that's why we've taken what we call an omni-channel approach. If you are here as a primarily cash consumer, we've got top-notch service for you. If you choose to do digital origination, we will serve you with that same quality of digital. But we don't want to push the consumer where they don't want to go. We want to be able to serve them at any
And changing customer behavior is so time consuming. It takes so long time. So when I see some of the newcomers into the market with great digital ideas, the ideas can seem very good. But when I always tell them, look, changing consumer, even if you think that your product is, there's a logic behind why it's better, the consumer knows what they're doing and they choose wisely, much more than we even think sometimes.
I think that's a great point.
Correct?
Completely agree. Yeah.
Andrew, it's been a pleasure.
Absolutely.
Really.
Thank you for having me.
No, it's great. It's great meeting you. Really.
Great time at CrossTech, and I over the years, I've heard of the name and the IMTC, and I just want to say I think this rebranding has been a stroke of genius.
Thanks.
To see the amount of integration you've done with other payment providers and concepts all coming together. I really feel the momentum and where this is heading, and it was great.
That stroke of light came one day during COVID, when we had a lot of time to think about other things and see what was happening. And I said, we're not, we need to rebrand. And the name came like that. It wasn't, it was some of the things that happened. So thank you for saying that.
Looking forward to be back.
It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes. Thank you.